Okay. Okay. We are listening to the interesting presentation by the former Army Chief, General Dambazao, but we have some technical hitches, so we have to move on. And okay, although I can see him now. General Dambazao, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please go ahead and continue your goodwill message.
Yes. So by and large, since it's a goodwill message, I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the organizers, and we should be able to look at these issues in their totality. First, it must be all stakeholders approach, whereby every stakeholder in this issue must be involved in finding solution to it. Secondly, it must be intelligence-driven and technology-driven. Then, thirdly, we must be able to address the local conflicts because these are also drivers to these issues. And of course, finally, we must be able to enhance the cooperation between Nigeria and our neighbors, particularly Niger, because of influx of arms from Mali, Libya, but they come through Niger Republic. Without this getting together, this cooperation, and finally the synergy among the security agencies. This is very, very important because if security agencies work in silos and differently, then it will be very difficult to find lasting solution to this because if it is very, very important that they share intelligence. Is very, very important that they fight, rather operate, within the same doctrine or similar doctrine and things like that. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, General Abdurrahman Dambazau, for your very important contribution. In particular, you raised the international dimensions of the local problem we are having. The collapse of the Gaddafi regime in Libya led to the flooding of West and Central Africa with a huge armory of weapons. And it's really a problem that we have to contend with. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Dambazau. We will now go on to our next panelist, His Excellency Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar. Sorry? Was I wrong? Okay. Your Excellency, you are governor of Zamfara State for 8 years. You had a very difficult time because it coincided with the rise and the peak of the banditry problem. And Zamfara State for many years was the #1 center of the bandit problem. His Excellency Alhaji Mahmoud Shekar, he had a slightly easier time because I think during his time the banditry was not yet very prominent, but His Excellency Abdulaziz Yari had to grapple with the problem more or less throughout his tenure. We'll therefore listen to him for 10 minutes about his general take on the problem of insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping, the multifaceted approach. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahmoud. Let me start by giving thanks to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is His infinite mercy, put us to honor our father, let Marishan Kafi Marafa Sokoto, who's in this field. We can, as one of my brothers says, is a guru. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his memory. 10 minutes in this business, as far as I'm concerned, I think is too small for me. Understanding, as the presenter says, I'm in the center of this trouble of all my stay of 8 years in Zamfara State. But I'll do my best. I have wanted to capture about 4 or 5 areas, which some of it has been mentioned by the past speakers, more especially Tambol, who met us at Midway. And he has been also in the center of the 5 northern governors who comes together, put synergy in place, and part of the North Central, including the Niger State. This issue has been long. It's only that when you know the history, that I can understand the first speaker says for the past 10 years. It has been existing for over 3 decades. Why I came to know, Mr. President directed me that the trouble is too much. When he visited Zamfara on the Army Administration Day, sometimes in July 2016, and he mandated me to go and sit down with the locals and get in depth of the problem. And what he told me, he gave me the experience that they shared during the Civil War, because you cannot achieve what you don't even have idea about it. You must get the knowledge. You want to get the root of it before you uprooted it. So therefore, he advised me to get the community of Dan Sadao area where the problem started in 2011, August and September, which he said that I should sit alone with them. No one should be there, and I should be patient to listen to them. And I have an interaction of over 4 hours. And the history is just mad. What they are quoting a long time ago from back in 1982, the problems of the Fulanis and the Hausas, the problem of Fulanis themselves, when the Fulanis resulted to become cattle rustlers, and how they emanated to become bandits, as migrating from rustling to banditry up to the level of kidnapping. Though in Zamfara State, kidnapping is not known until 2014. And the first episode happened in Bukum, where they have taken the emir of Bukum himself for ransom. So when we're just hearing the kidnapping somewhere in Kaduna, around Nasarawa area and Niger, but in 2014 August, that is where we have started experiencing kidnapping in Zamfara State. And Dambazo was also there in 2015 when we were narrating the issues, and he contributed and said likely it was because of lack of cows available and the way to sell them to the market. So now they resort to go back to kidnapping human and ask for ransom. I think it's more, they get more value there. So when actually I came in and understand the problem, it looked like a problem of Fulani's houses when you look at it. Oh, farmers are helpless, but it's beyond that. It's beyond that. One, it comes a kind of monetary issues get involved. So therefore, there's a value chain whereby you can't just expect it's the problem of my land and problem of my cows. Many people get the benefit of it. They get the value of what they are doing for doing nothing. Someone is in the chain of the supply of arms, someone in the chain of supply of food, someone in the chain of supply of narcotic and other related issues to bandit. So it became a kind of value chain for them as a business. So therefore, it became a very, very difficult things to manage as the local. In 2011, 2012, 2013, we don't have a single personnel as military. We are only using the SS intelligence and police. In 2014, when it was overwhelmed, when the attack took to Kaboro and killed about 280 people in one day. So that will draw the attention of the federal government. At 300 and something to face the challenge that we're facing. We have been, as a head of the government, I've been putting it in writing to the president then, telling him the trouble we're in, because day in, day out, in a week, in a month, you get 2-3 attacks then, 4 attacks, but government didn't pay much attention. And the changes of governors, as I said earlier, when I was overwhelmed, there's a time that I made mention that I resigned from being chief security because I am become helpless. The trouble is within the area that I can even say if I'm the commander, I can tackle it, but you'll be sending the intelligence to the right people, but respond has become sometimes a problem. One example, there is one attack who the locals give me the intelligence because I have the telephone number in each and every area. So they call me, there's a problem in the camp of Bayanroa in Marado local government that they said they plan to come and block the highway and they're going to work there tonight. So which I provide the intelligence to the army who are in charge. And from 11 p.m. exactly, they are at that highway. And unfortunately, they stopped a truck, came from Kano carrying goods, and one back to Kano from Sokoto. They killed about 16 and burned the 2 trucks, and some were injured. And they are in the operation from 11:30 p.m. up to 5 a.m. But no singles respond either from the police or from the army, which they are all known. So this kind of frustration, sometimes, as they call you, they address you, chief security officer of the state, in a situation whereby you cannot hire and pay any cost of, so it becomes a very, very problem. So this is the one area that I want to talk to the governors, that what they can do, I think, apart from putting the synergy, apart from the president, the president commander-in-chief, hold the entire security matter light on him, that he should do more on this area, because the best what you can give as a leader is to protect the life and property. That's number one. So if that cannot be given to your people, then whatever you're going to provide for them, there is no meaning to them, because you are building, as I mentioned, the time without number saying, to build the economy is for life to exist, to have a wants to know their responsibility at the level, because I, as a governor who served for 8 years, I know the challenges and I know the problem and how handcuffed I was with this issue. And the locals there, they only know the governor. So if they're going to talk about the governor, they said during the so time, there's challenges of insecurity and the government, the administration has not done much. And perhaps the entire problem is not like on the governor's hand. It's on the center, where the commander-in-chief, that who has the constitution empowered him to hire and pay the security chiefs and hire everyone in the line of security. So therefore, this is the second item that the federal government, as the Tembo mentioned, says earlier, that the problem of manpower, the problem of equipment, and also the synergy between between the security agencies should be tackled. If that is achieved, definitely we will see a lot of progress. Then also the border, the issue of border control, we must pay attention to it, because it's one of the key problems. I can tell you that I was a certain governor when these people decided to contribute money and bring arms. And each and every planning in Zamfara State was either to give money or to give a cow. So they contributed money and go across our border or down to Libya and bring arms, because they said they are under siege by the Hausas. And by extension, up to Central Africa. They invited their people whenever they want to have a kind of activity of attack they want to do to a community. They invite people from the bordering, from the neighboring states, and they came from neighboring nations, came and do the attack and then get away. Sometimes you'll be wondering, what are they trying to achieve by doing what they are doing? Because they want and kill and destroy the economic activities in the community. Their ports, their houses, burned the houses, and eventually they went out without taking anything. So when you look at it, you say, what is the benefit of this attack? Sometimes it comes to our knowledge that some of the locals, between them, there's a fight, or the Hausas went and killed one Fulani somewhere 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but it's still in the memories of Fulanis that they are going to take revenge. So therefore, they invite people to kill 20, 30, 18 at a time, sometimes 40, 45, 50. And as the presenter says, sometimes they have more intelligence than our security. For instance, in Kunchin Kalgo, not Kunchin Kalgo, Kizara, sometimes in 2014, when I got intelligence from the police and NIA that these people, they are coming from Niger to attack that particular village. I get the information, then I quickly come to Abuja and met with the IG, then that is MD Gusau, and I told him, this is the intelligence from you, and what I have is only 4-5 units, so I need more units so that they can take the area of Kunchin Kalgo down to Keta and other areas in the state. So he gave me about 5 units, more additional 5 units of mobile. That's making 63 each. In that particular place, there is 2 units who stayed there for about 4 months. But within a short time, the police commissioner met me and said he get what do you call it? He get signal that he should move that to Kebbi State and Sokoto State. Then I warned him. I said, no, we have getting intelligence that there are people that are waiting to bring attack in that particular place. So if you move them, definitely will be a problem. But what you're going to do, if it becomes necessary to move them out, so move them, but you should place the same 2 units in that particular place. Because if you do that and they get the information, the attack they have been planning to take for a long time, for 3-4 months, they will not succeed, they will do it. He said, okay. I thought what I advised is understood by the police commissioner. He didn't move them until when I left for Ukraine to go for the student graduation that I graduated in the indigenous that we sent there to study medicine. I landed in Ukraine when I got the call from the then Minister of Works. That's Bashir Good. I had there's attack in Kizara. I said, well, I have no information. I'm just landing now. So he said they attacked Kizara and they killed 48. Then I said, before I came, tell the IG to move that commissioner out because these are my conversation with him. And this is what I told him that he should do if it's come necessary for him to move those that are there because they will get the information, the security men are not there. So they will just quickly attack. So it's one of the problem of governors because we don't have control down there for the security personnel. So more or less our own, as Chambo says, is for us to give financial support, sometimes get them vehicles, set the frequency, and that's all. The influence of the governor is not much as that influence of IG to the police. The influence of the governor is not as that much of chief of army staff to the army, as well as the chief of air staff. So they took order from them, not from the governor. So what the governors are actually doing is just a local issue that they can be able to do things. But I think if the likely, which is not possible, to look at the constitution, we have a speaker here, and eventually the former speaker, who was the governor of Sokoto, maybe in the future, they can adjust and give more powers to governors on what they can do about the issue of security. I think that would be also a help. Then what the model says also in there, the farmers, though is beyond that now. When we had a meeting with the Vice President Sibanjo as a chairman on this problem. We look at it. What do we have gazetted in the grazing areas? We look at the land at that time in 1976, and we look at the population, and we look at what is. So now, what they gazetted in 1975 and what we have now, people need more land to farm. We have population. So the areas that are reserved, meant for grazing, can no longer be possible for them to continue to be for. What we should do, we should get a new technique on how we're going to rear our cows. We mentioned there, though we cannot because of the economic vulnerable we are, we cannot compare, but we have to copy to some extent. That in the United States, they stopped grazing since 1840, since 1848. So therefore, now we want to continue with the grazing, and we have a problem of land, and we have a problem of ethnicity, because it's not the same people in the United States that are doing the grazing, and it's not the same people in Nigeria. They are doing the same thing, planting our houses. Though planting are well known with the issue of rearing cows, and the others are known for farming. So there's all a problem surrounding the whole situation in Nigeria that is completely different. But government need to do something in the issue of the new method. Though when the issue of Ruga come up, there's so many criticism on it. But I don't even know why the criticism on the issue of Ruga and the issue of what the government is planning to change the whole scenario on how the cattle are to be grazed. Because now a farmer of as important as farmer who is maize or rice is also the one that who's running cattle is also important to the economy. So the way you give support to the farmer who's producing rice, who's producing maize, who's producing yam and coconut and other farm products, equally is important to find a way that you are going to smoothen the way of life of those that are rearing cows because of their importance. As I said, 10 minutes will not be enough for me as a person who centered of the trouble for the past 8 years of my stewardship as the governor of Zamfara State. So many things is I saw a lot of things, experienced a lot of things, but in the summary of what I have said on the issue of the intelligence, issue of cooperation between the governors and the center, and what the center should do of empowering, giving more personnel and also equipment. Because one experience is we have been complaining to President. I personally bought a light-skinned vehicle, which is not meant for that purpose of oppression. So that's why our soldiers, our police are being attacked by these bandits. They need not to go in the vehicle in the 21st century. A personnel is his half of leg is outside, half his body is inside. So I don't think we are ready for this trouble. So we need to do more on getting the right thing, because for instance, I do say I didn't join soldier for me to die, but I'm joined soldier for me to give what I have, what God has given me for my country, to protect the territorial integrity of it, as well as SS as well. Nobody gets into the service for him to die. But for him to give what's possible. So therefore, he needs to be supported with what is necessary for him to do his job. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to have taken longer than necessary. I'm sorry it's because of my experience on this. Thank you very much.
Excellency, we entirely understand that you have so much to say, because I don't think any ruler in Nigeria knows this problem more than you do, because you are the main point man in the main state that suffered the worst from banditry and insurgency. Unfortunately, we are pressed for time, so we had to press you to round up. We thank you very much, Your Excellency Abdul Aziz Yari Abubakar, the former governor of Zamfara State. I think we will now take a 5-minute break. Okay, there will be a 5-minute break in which We'll be showing a video on the life of the late Malahon Sokoto Alaji Umaru Shinkafi, in whose memory we are doing this event. Thank you very much. When we resume after 5 minutes, then we will have 2 more speakers. The Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, Matthew Hassan Kuka, will speak, and then His Excellency Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, the Governor of Kebbi State, will speak. Thank you. Let's have the video now.
Following the brutal murder of former head of state General Murtala Mohammed in the abortive coup of February 1976, the succeeding administration headed by General Olusegun Obasanjo initiated the reorganization of the security architecture of the country. The former special branch of the Nigerian police was transformed into the National Security Organization. Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi became Director General of the NSO after the pioneer DG Colonel Abdullahi Mohammed left the service in October 1979. Remarkably, during his time as DG of the NSO, vital intelligence about the emergence of what would become the first seeds of religious insurgency in Nigeria, the Maitasini sect, was collected, which eventually aided the police and army in overcoming and completely eliminating the dangerous and hugely threatening activities of the sect. Alhaji Umaru Ali Shinkafi was born on the 19th of January 1937 in Kaura Namoda, Zamfara State, to Princess Ajiya Aishatu Kwabe, the great-granddaughter of Umaru Mahmuda of the Alibawa ruling band, the founders of Kaura Namoda, and the late Alhaji Ali Bisije, a wealthy commodity merchant from Gasma in Bade Kingdom, Yobe State. While engendered in him a curious
One minute while we get the video to show. Thank you.
Why don't we take the next speaker?
Mohammed in the abortive coup of February 1976. The succeeding administration Following the brutal murder of former head of state General Murtala Mohammed in the abortive coup of February 1976, the succeeding administration headed by General Olusegun Obasanjo initiated the reorganization of the security architecture of the country. The former special branch of the Nigerian police was transformed into the National Security Organization. Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi became Director General of the NSO after the pioneer DG Colonel Abdullahi Mohammed left the service in October 1979. Remarkably, During his time as DG of the NSO, vital intelligence about the emergence of what would become the first seeds of religious insurgency in Nigeria, the Mytasini sect, was collected, which eventually aided the police and army in overcoming and completely eliminating the dangerous and hugely threatening activities of the sect. Alhaji Umaru Ali Shinkafi was born on the 19th of January 1937 in Kaura Namoda, Zamfara State, to Princess Ajiya Aishatu Kwabe, the great-granddaughter of Umaru Mahmuda of the Alibawa ruling band, the founders of Kaura Namoda, and the late Alhaji Ali Bisije, a wealthy commodity merchant from Gasma in Bade Kingdom, Yobe State. While his mother ensured that he possessed the pomp of princes, his father made sure he embraced a culture of discipline, diligence, and shrewdness. He engendered in him a curious mind that was nurtured by knowledge and details. Alhaji Shinkafi passed out of the famous Barewa College, Kaduna, in 1958, obtaining distinction in English, Hausa, and Arabic studies. In 1959, he joined the Nigerian police force and received specialist training in national security and intelligence at the leading police detective academy in England. In 1973, he bagged a degree in law from the University of Lagos. The following year, he passed out of the Nigerian Law School and was called to bar. Later, he became part of the special unit called the Special Branch of the Nigerian Police Force. The unit had the likes of Mr. Fagbola, Mohammed Diko Yusuf, Isaac Adejo, Salisu Daura, Gambo Jimeta, Adamu Suleiman, and others. The special branch was later abolished and all the senior officers there were sent to the Nigerian Security Organization, NSO, on the orders of General Obasanjo, who had directed the formation of the NSO. Colonel Abdullahi Mohammed, who was the governor of the Benue Plateau at the time, was moved and asked to head the newly formed NSO because he had been in Army intelligence. In 1979, when General Obasanjo handed over to President Shehu Shagari, General Mohammed opted to retire with other officers. President Shagari appointed Shinkafi Director General of the NSO. He was Commissioner of the Police in Oyo State at the time. Earlier, he had been Minister of Internal Affairs and alternate Minister of Foreign Affairs in General Murtala's government. After almost 3 decades of a distinguished public service career in the police and the security service in Nigeria, he retired in 1983 and co-founded the Lagos law firm Shinkafi, Kusamoto, and Olojo. He was conferred with the revered title of Marafa by the Sultan of Sokoto because of his huge involvement in community affairs and religious activities. Later, he got involved in active politics and became one of the most influential voices in the Nigerian political firmament of the last 3 decades. He was happily married and blessed with children who made him very proud.
Okay, thank you very much. We are back after that brief but very inspiring video on the life of Alhaji Umaru Shinkahi, our father, the late Marafan Sokoto, top policeman, as we have seen, top intelligence expert, Minister of the Federal Republic, later on politician, traditional title holder, an elder statesman, and also a very committed nationalist and family man. We continue to pray for the report. We are now back to the webinar discussing banditry, insurgency, and kidnapping, the multifaceted approach in Nigeria. And we have two more panelists. The next one is the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. I hope we have got the connection. Bishop Kuka is many things rolled into one. He's an academic and an activist, though deceptively dressed in priestly garb. So we are going to get the benefit of his many-sided experience today. He has 10 minutes to speak on the problem of insecurity that we have in Nigeria. You are welcome. Bishop, we know you are at home and you are in mourning because he lost his mother only a few days ago. So we pray for the repose of her soul. And we will now listen to Bishop Kuka.
Hello, can you hear me, Mahmoud?
Yes, I can hear you, Bishop. We can hear you.
Thank you very much for your generous introduction. This is the first time I'm stepping out of my village, and as I was about to leave, the people fixing my mother's grave just arrived. But I had to be at this event. One, because I was almost being threatened and intimidated by Her Excellency, who literally said I had to be at this event. But secondly, I have some emotional relationship with Umaru Shinkafi, and most of the things I gleaned actually were from your tribute to him. But at my appointment as Bishop of Sokoto, Alhaji Shinkafi shocked me by sending me an over 1,000-page book as his special gift to me. The book is the history of the Catholic Church. So I had to be here, and I was also very lucky to have spoken with him in his London hospital a week or two before he died. So for me, it's really a great honor to be here. I've got only 5 minutes, and I barely heard what a lot of people said. Permit me if I take a slightly different perspective, in part because everyone is familiar with the narrative. I think what we don't seem to do in this country is to do diagnosis. I've heard all the talk about Gaddafi's weapons and guns and so on. And I think the question we should be asking ourselves about banditry in Nigeria is how and why did Nigeria become such an attractive location for bandits, banditry, and kidnapping? What are the issues that really led to the collapse of our community culture? That things we never imagined were associated with northern Nigeria are beginning to manifest themselves. And they've been doing so as in the last 15, 20 years, when the architecture of governance, the institutions of patriotism began to woefully collapse in our country. So when we're talking about banditry, but from the things we had over the NDDC investigations that are currently going on, you will be excused for worrying yourself, so to say, about what is happening in northern Nigeria. Because in terms of the scale of the financial implications of the humongous sums of money that have been bandied around, and the monies that have been in circulation, I'm making the point, therefore, that banditry is not a cause. Banditry is an effect. It's a symptom of the rot in our society, which is that when you go back to the dictionary or historical or even sociological discussion about banditry, a bandit is a criminal. He's an armed robber. He is armed. But the literature suggests very clearly that bandits operate in wide wastelands where they are law unto themselves. So therefore, we must correlate the persistence of banditry, the scope, the length, the breadth of it, with the ungovernable spaces that are available in Nigeria. The statistics show that between 64 and 70% of Nigerian landmass our 925,000 square kilometers, between 65 and 70% of that land constitutes what is called rural land. That means that urban participation in life, that is, urban life in Nigeria occupies barely 30% of the Nigerian landmass. We can therefore understand why these human beings are able to run from north to south, from east to west, why they can crisscross hundreds of kilometers without anybody being able to control them. And when we address, the second point is to say that, in my view, it is a great mistake that Nigeria has continued to focus on issues of physical infrastructure of violence. Okay, the Nigerian state monopolizes violence on our behalf. But again, if we see what has happened in the last 15 or 20 years with Boko Haram, they used to call it an asymmetrical war. But it is almost difficult now to say who has the upper hand and who has the lower hand in this war. That is to say, by focusing on the infrastructures of war, such as guns, such as armored tanks, bullets, and so on, we are ignoring the most fundamental ingredient that generates patriotism. That is the psychological, largely intangible sense and feeling of security that ought to drive patriotism. Most of that is missing in Nigeria. And if we go around the whole world, from Italy to Latin America, bandits have always been conferred a dubious sense of honor, because where the state is absent, that is where the bandits explode. So when people like Pablo Escobar, for example, are able to build houses where the government has not been able to build houses, you now discover that your bandit is only a bandit for the state, but they are heroes in the localities where they operate. So I make the point, therefore, that I think what is most important is for us to bridge this gap, because we've not addressed the issue of citizenship and the attendant alienation that citizens of Nigeria feel from their state, from those who run the states, and from the institutions of state that are supposed to serve them. Is it the hospitals? Is it the police? All the institutions of state in Nigeria are alien to citizens. And I'm happy that you've referred to a multifaceted way of looking at this issue. When we talk of intelligence, the screen video you showed, apparently Alhaji Shinkafi himself was said to have said something like, people involved with security are supposed to be in the limelight. They're not supposed to be seen. Unfortunately for us, security agents in all their ramifications have become overexposed to politics. And they are also subjected to the same whims and caprices, the same struggle to pillage the state as every other person is. So in Nigeria today, you can only talk about banditry in terms of scope. One is better dressed than the other. One is better armed than the other. One is using a pen, he's sitting in an air-conditioned office, but he's doing far worse things than the ones who are even risking their life. Because the modern bandit who is in a banking hall or who is in other institutions of state are basically doing the same thing, namely looting the state and making it impossible for the state to meet its basic objectives. The result then is that we have a failure of intelligence, because every citizen and every human being can only cooperate or collaborate with an institution or an individual if they can see something for themselves. So if citizens of Nigeria don't feel that the Nigerian state will act on their behalf, then they will side with the bandit. But if they feel that, okay, just a simple example, 3-4 years ago, we had the whistleblowers policy. It literally collapsed on arrival. Today, people who blew the whistle are still not able to claim, and literally all of that has become a whisper as far as the Nigerian state is concerned, because it has been crippled by corruption. So I want to make 3 points, and then I will try and shut up. One is to say that intelligence is not something you read from a book. The best intelligence comes from ordinary people. I don't want to name names, but you know that the late MD Yusuf, for example, was fond of visiting Fela's shrine, where only the seediest elements in Nigeria were congregating and smoking Igbo and so on and so forth. But as an intelligence officer, he knew that from those places, he will be able to pick the kind of grievances that Nigerians were expressing, whether it is through Fela's music or otherwise. Secondly, it is important that the state opens up this conversation, because the problem with Nigeria is that ordinary people don't feel a sense that they belong to this conversation. They are being acted upon, and they are not actors in their own destiny. So I think that the first thing we need to do is to go back and creatively begin to focus on the institutions that will engender patriotism and love of country. Right now, as all of us know very well, unless we want to deceive ourselves, on a scale of priorities in terms of what do Nigerians love, what are Nigerians prepared to die for, it is most likely that dying for Nigeria will come almost at the bottom of the list. And so therefore, they're making the case that this is what is opening us and making us more vulnerable and making it easy for the bandits to thrive. Because the bandits have their collaborators. They have people who are giving them information. And finally, it is to say that Nigeria, in another 5 years, our population will go up to 240 or thereabout. So far, if we are not able to deal with issues of management of resources, if we are not able to deal with issues of creating a society that psychologically people can go to sleep peacefully. I've been in my village for just 1 week. I've received several telephone calls. Everybody who calls me is feeling sorry for me and asking me, what am I still doing in the village? Because they believe that I might come to harm. And yet this is my home. More and more of our elite are unable to go back to their villages and communities. And it is on them that we rely for communities to grow. So we need to take the issue of building national consensus, national cohesion, sense of patriotism as a serious and a very important project. Most of that is not happening because 99% of our energy is consumed by politics. And there's very little time left for us to think creatively about how we might build our communities, whether they are faith communities, cultural communities, or other forms of communities. Because if we do that, the bandits will probably find no place to enter. Because they are finding places to enter because most of us have abandoned our communities. I think let me not take too much of your time. Let me stop there. And once again, renew my gratitude. As I said, I had to be here because now that I'm an orphan, I felt I needed to be here so that because now I consider myself a vulnerable citizen. So thank you very much again. And I pray the best we can do for the man we are honoring today is to stick to the principles that he lived and died for. May God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Bishop, we thank you very much. At one point, I thought I made a mistake and called Professor of Philosophy from Harvard. Given what you said, some of it very disturbing, that the bandits that are ransacking the countryside are only a small fraction of the bandits that we have in Nigeria. There are many others lacking in critical institutions. I think you mentioned banks. I don't want to repeat that. The bankers don't come after me. We thank you very much, Bishop. We know you are very busy and we continue to pray for the repose of Mama's soul. Thank you very much. Then we go to our next panelist, His Excellency Wakar Atiku Bagudu, the governor of Kebbi State. We heard a lot from the former governor of Zamfara State, which is known to be the center of the banditry problem, and also from the governor of Sokoto State, where of late there has been a serious problem of banditry. Although there haven't been too many reports of banditry from Kebbi State. So Your Excellency, have you been sleeping with your two eyes closed? And in 10 minutes, we want to hear what is your own view of the general problem that we have of insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping.
Thank you. I think maybe I've been even sleeping with my eyes wide open more than all those who had faced the problem before, because sometimes in trying to stop, you even put in more effort. But having listened panelists before starting with Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, His Excellency the Governor of Sokoto, to the last speaker, Bishop Matthew Kuka, I think a lot has been said that one will imagine there's little to add, especially again by that brilliant take by Jill Atkinson, who talk about removing the enablers. But before that, I would also like to appreciate the organizers and all those who work very, very hard to put this summit into place. It's very, very creative. It's an apt honor for our father, statesman, intelligence guru, Alhaji Umaru Aliyu Shinkafi. I remember hilariously when we are debating, when the debate was going on whether to do this in a virtual manner, I was one of those who was hesitant that we should wait to find an opportunity to do it physically. Because I always remember when he was setting up his email, Abba Ibrahim is literally on standby because Marafa is always somebody who believes knowledge should be updated. And I'm sure if he has been alive, this is something he will have been used to, maybe even before some of us, because he's very, very conscious of the need to. May his soul rest in peace, and may God grant him fidelity. Of course, Her Excellency is in London, and my dear wife, Dr. Zainab, and she couldn't be with us physically. There are two other people who will have been here, I'm sure, either physically or virtually, but tragically we lost them in Abdul Qadir and Alhaji Ismail Isa Funtua. May their soul also rest in peace. And I'm sure the whole family is in mourning, but yet we are here. Insurgency, banditry, kidnapping have been an evolving phenomena. And the one thing with evolving phenomena is to understand why, like Jill Atkinson, why do they happen? Because in understanding that, maybe a good opportunity will be found in dealing with it. My limited knowledge and interaction with those who have been accused in insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping is that their worldview is very narrow. They think entitled, they feel angry, and they feel they are right in their anger. And this is not just in the Northwest, and it's characteristics of communal clashes, of land-based problems, resource-linked conflicts. Secondly, it's quite common view that resources are not adequate, particularly land resources, freshwater bodies. And the more we make demands on them, the more conflict-causing behavior will escalate and accelerate. And thirdly, we need to include everyone. And in including everyone, we have to find ways of utilizing the resources we have for the benefit of all. Today, there are many farmers who cannot find enough farmland to farm in the way they are used to. There are many in the fishing community who cannot find enough freshwater bodies to fish in the way they used to. And the same thing with those in the pastoral business. And somehow we have to evolve what works for everyone. Otherwise, we'll continue to have more people who are angry, more people who are feeling they are right across the country. And to the extent that we have something to share in Kebbi, I think it is this conscious need to include everyone so as to diffuse the anger. We have local governments, Bagudo and Suru, that are predominantly, the majority of the people in those two local governments are Fulanis. But even there, we are not able to solve the problem of farmer versus pastoralist demand on land or even water resources. And the more we invest in agriculture, particularly farming, the more we have to consciously manage the need to ensure while farmers are occupying lands longer in the year, because when farmers now, when we are investing in farmers to move them from one crop per year to 3 crops, that means they are continuously occupying the land. And therefore, you have to evolve what can work for the pastoralist so that they can also feel included and less angry. So, and then in order to broaden their narrow worldview, you have to mobilize, whether it is Islamic preachers, Christian preachers, all kind of religious groups, in order to help show them the importance of accommodating others, the importance of mobilizing so that they can also make demand on the state to help them transit into modern forms of animal husbandry, and so that they need less space than they will otherwise require. So it's upon all of us to evolve this inclusive process, which will give everyone the feeling, every group the feeling that they matter and their occupations that they do matter and they are supported in those occupations. And in doing so, also to give regard, and this is one of the things I learned. I always remember, even when I was sworn in as governor, I remember very well from Marafa, to give regard to those in local communities who are vested with authority or the responsibility to deal with these issues. Because historically, a clash between a pastoralist and farmer can be settled by any village head, and nobody will feel cheated. Even if there is a fine involved, it will all be sorted. But now everyone is territorial, everyone feels wrongly treated, and the more you impose solutions from the top, the more the solutions cannot be found. And coupled with this is the fact that the insurgencies, communal clashes, banditry are long-term issues that sometimes, regrettably, is not comforting to say, cannot be solved in a very short time. Across Nigeria, we have famous examples of that. We have the TB Jukun's crisis that have been going for decades. We have the Ukeli versus Izzy in Cross River and Ebonyi, Cross River and Ebonyi state. We even have the Amuleri and Umuleri in Anambra. The Oyo Wars took close to 200 years in order to solve. So we are not praying that we need 100 years or 50 years to solve this problem, but to recognize that as population growth, and I think that is where Bishop Matthew ended on, as population grow, more conflict-causing behavior is likely to result. And therefore, we need to mobilize more resources so that we can invest and include all. Only then can we accommodate the activities of farmers, the activities of fishing communities, and those in the animal husbandry sector on the land that we have, and with value addition to all. And that is why one has to acknowledge the breakthroughs that are being introduced in terms of anchor borrower program schemes that are now designed by the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari to include more and more communities in order to remove anger. And all of us to recognize that these are shared resources. Today, many of us, even if we are driving, and I do it, and many people do it, we don't think a Fulani crossing the road with his cows is entitled to that road. And it's called a road. We just think the road is for the motorists, and yet there's no road by the side. There's no space by the side of the road which is demarcated for him. So it is this recognition that these common resources needs to be managed, shared, and utilized for the benefit of all that will begin to defeat the anger and generate their cooperation, the cooperation of all. About a year and a half ago, and I'm glad that General Dambazo was here, himself among others, hosted Fulani leadership across 19 northern states. And one of them stood up there the distinction between kidnapping and banditry and offered that they are more victims of kidnapping than anybody, because it's easier for a kidnapper to enter a ruga, somebody living in a bush with 20 cows, and take his child or daughter or wife and force him to sell 10 cows and give him the money, than even for him to stand on the road. It is when they have finished exhausting these sources that they took on. So they're just there in that message with the ability to elicit their cooperation in order to tackle the kidnapping, and then generate also their cooperation to work with the state and authorities in the motive-driven attacks, which are by feeling I'm excluded, feeling that I have been wronged, and this will go a long way in the problem locally. But the last but not the least is the recognition that some of these problems are transnational. The West African ECOWAS protocol provide movement across West Africa, or is intended to do so. And for Fulani, one of the major groups that are affected are people who have relatives in different countries, and they transit and travel in different countries. So what you think is a domestic problem is a multinational problem. A couple of 2 years ago, I think we accompanied Mr. President to Niger, and we sat governors of those and other governors that border, states that border, regions that border Nigeria, to agree a protocol where we can register cows coming in and out of Nigeria. And I think Katsina State have already started. Then the associated with that is the ugly incidents of religious groups, extreme religious groups who come from as far as Mali in order to link up with this conflict-causing behavior, exploit it in order to mobilize resources to continue their aggressive conduct. So beyond Nigeria, we also need to have cooperation outside with other countries in order to mobilize and contain what is certainly a threat to our prosperity. I thank everyone for giving me the opportunity, and I congratulate all, particularly our host, Alhaji Malam Mahmoud Jega, for very, very ably hosting this webinar. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Kebbi State, we thank you very much for correcting our earlier impression that in Kebbi they have been sleeping with their eyes closed, because we haven't heard about much banditry there. But now we agree entirely that it is actually because he has been extremely alert and forward-looking in the matter of this problem. In particular, the concept he said of defeating anger, because if every community feels angry and cheated and sidelined, then there will never be an end to trouble, however the number of soldiers you deploy, all the weapons you give them. We thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that very interesting perspective. We congratulate you for keeping Kebbi State relatively free, and we hope all other states will learn a lesson or two from there. So we are moving on We have finished with all the official panelists of this webinar, but the organizers have given me a list of goodwill messages, which will run for 2 minutes each in view of the time. I have got a list of 5, and I will take them in the order I was given. The first one, I hope we have got the connection. This is His Excellency Rabi Musa Konkuso, the former governor of Kano State. He's the red Concosia cap. So
thank you very much.
yeah.
The moderator, Madam, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Bit poor.
Let me start to join them in praying for our leader. The Marafan Sokoto Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi. We pray to Almighty God to give him Jannatul Firdaus, Almighty God, for his life. Let me, at this point, say that most speakers were always concentrating on the issue of military, paramilitary, their training, retraining, their welfare, and so also their immense arms, ammunitions. In my opinion, the issue of military and paramilitary
Your Excellency Rabi, please switch off your video.
As the last option. What is important, especially the chairman, the president, was to realize is that security involves the of economy. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, but they said if you switch off your video, it will improve the quality of the reception.
Okay.
Okay,
so I was talking of the issue of fairness, justice by leaders. The other angle is the issue of education, gainful employment, and so on, connecting with the people. It is very important because we all know that the issue of intelligence is very key. People in government are not well connected with the people they govern. It becomes very, very difficult. Intelligence necessary especially for the members of the armed forces, security agencies, appeal once again to very, very seriously through the empowerment, through ensuring that wanted into an office for all the people, right from the leaders. Our leaders can easily be connected and they'll have the adequate information.
I think we have lost the connection to distinguished Senator Rabiu Musa Konkoso. The connection was very problematic and I think it has finally cut off. If we can have him back within seconds, otherwise we may have to move on in view of the time. Is that correct? I think we can't have him back now, can we? Okay.
Thanks
So
a lot.
okay.
I don't know whether you have heard what I said.
Well, only partially, Your Excellency. Well, we had some. So please just continue and round up because we can hear you now.
Okay. After thanking the organizers and praying for our leader, I mentioned the other aspect of the security, which most people are always ignoring, especially the leaders. I mentioned the issue of fairness, justice. I mentioned the issue of economy. I mentioned the issue of
Okay, the distinguished senator was
security in the area of education, food, health, infrastructure, gainful employment, and so on and so forth. I also touched on the issue of connecting with people. And this is very important for our leaders to understand that after election, they are leaders of
so wannan abun gudu din I think da yaji ban koli okay kawai da yan online in ba matsala ci gaba haka
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Rabiu Musa Konkoso, the former governor of Kano State. We apologize for the technical hitches that almost marred the presentation, but we have had some of the very important contributions that we have made. We thank you very much. We will now take more goodwill messages, 2 minutes each. The next one is from Dr. Gani Adediran. He's a security expert, I think based in Ibadan. Do we have the connection?
Yes, please. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be asked to make a few words about this conference in memory of my father, my mentor, and a great Nigerian, a phenomenon for that matter. But a lot of things have been said. I will just list quickly some of the things that I consider germane to preventing banditry insurgency. One, good governance. If you have a properly constituted democratic government, we should not have problem dealing with our people. Next is poverty reduction. government must try as much as possible to reduce poverty. Next is proper education of the citizen. Too often, we pay attention to things that are irrelevant. And in the life of Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi is a phenomenon. He has friends across the country, and that is why he was able to enjoy his tenure between 1979 and 1983, and that was when I knew him. I've never been to Sokoto, I've never met him, but when his performance as security, when I was a 100-level student, attached me to him throughout. My paper has been well documented, and I'm sure it will be good. Then we must also reduce the Almanjere system, a system that makes some people to hang on other people for the rest of their life, can never make a good country. And then community policing, we have already been talking about. Finally, military, where there is need for military to be involved, let us do it. The government is already doing that, and we are sure that, because if we say the bandits or Boko Haram, if they are Nigerians and they are within the territorial part of Nigeria, why should it be difficult to deal with them? Why should we be talking about some people bringing in arms and ammunition from Libya, from Niger, from these are indications that we are not doing enough. And in the spirit of this conference, wherever Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi is today, he will be happy. If he were to be alive today, he would just be 84 years. It's 84-year person too old to have a Nigeria that will make him see better days than he has seen. Because by the time he died in 2016, as I said in my paper, we are just in a new government that is already settling some of these things. Abuja is already free for us. There was no bombing again. There was everybody. And then suddenly, the thing now moved from northeast, that we thought it was there, then move to the west, to Sokoto, Zamfara. And I do hope that by the special gate of Allah, we are going to have the end to it in no distant future. Finally, I look at about 166 people, participants on this program. A lot of what they are saying even touches on some of the eminent people that are seated. And I noted that one by Azuka, one of the PA of Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi. He mentioned one particular statement that when somebody finally said, exactly this is what Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi used to say, and people, either they listen to him, and I'm sure that the organizer will collect those comments and this presentation and make a book of it that will go to all the states of the country. Now, the South Niger Delta is at peace. The government of this Buhari was able to maintain peace in the Niger Delta. Have you been hearing anything from Niger Delta that used to be bumpy and peace? So how come that the president was able to achieve peace in the Niger Delta and he found it difficult or even embarrassing in the north? Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Gani, thank you very much for your contribution. The next contribution, goodwill message for 2 minutes. I know it's difficult to enforce, but Alhaji Buba Galadima, you have 2 minutes to present your goodwill message.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Alhaji Buba Galadima. Yes, you have 2 minutes to take your goodwill message.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I would want to thank the organizers of this event in memory of my late brother, mentor, and boss Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi, the president that Nigeria never had. My only regret was that in the last 2 years of Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi on earth, me and some of his close friends and relatives prevailed on him, put pressure on him that he must put pen on paper to write his own memo or experiences in life, especially security. What he has done during the Civil War as an officer of the department of police, and other security engagements, which made him the guru, because the present Nigerian security architecture was the handwork of my brother Alhaji Umar Shinkafi. Now, everything that needs to be said about this issue have been said by contributors. I shed tears when Alhaji Abdul Aziz Yari was speaking, because he was the epicenter of this insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping. I was shedding tears. And what
Okay. Okay, please.
It's lacking for me. What is lacking, as far as I'm concerned, yes, because my thinking is that there is need now for a new strategy, because the old.
Please turn off the video camera. It will improve the reception. If you can hear us.
Ways we have been trying has own benefit. Therefore, we would a new strategy with which we will face this insurgency, banditry, and kidnappings all over our country. I think this is the only point that is not made. Since the old ways did not help us sufficiently, there is need for us to try other strategies, change tactics. We have the information. There is nothing that has not been said here. We have a data bank of this information. If Alhaji Umar Shinkafi, a family man that never forgot his friends, even the families of his own friends when he was alive and they are dead, it is time for us to mourn this great man. And it is my hope that we will be alive by next year so that we physically conduct this summit or interaction in his honor. Thank you very much, Mahmoud.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Bubakar Adima. To my surprise, you kept to the time, but I thank you very much. The organizers informed me that connection has been restored with AIG Farida Waziri, and she would like to conclude the short goodwill message that she was making. Is the connection restored with Mrs. Farida Waziri? I can see that Konkoso is also.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear?
I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead, madam.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy that this was okay. I have talked about intelligence that no country can do without. Yes. So I've already talked about intelligence, but then you were able to hear me. I was quickly mentioned insurgency, the killings going on in the north, and why nothing seemed to be done about it. And this young man on the motorcycle, somebody must have a bike motorcycle, give it to them,
I think we've lost her again, and I think that we can go right ahead to the goodwill messages. Thank you.
Much, the connection was really poor. Initially, we were hearing Mrs. Wadi.
Well, I think I should wish you will wait for the next edition. I wish you good luck. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Keep the distance because there's nothing much we can do. It's raining heavily here, and so that's why the system is breaking down. But on the issues in the northern part, I think the governors should do more. The governors should do more. The federal government should do more. And intelligence gathering is not cheap. They should equip the intelligence agencies with much more sophisticated equipment to be able to.
Suddenly, we were hearing you very well, Madam, towards the end. So we thank you very much for the presentation. We have 15 minutes to round up this whole session. We have 2 more goodwill messages, and I can see that His Excellency Rabi Konkoso is linked up. So after the 2 goodwill messages, he may probably conclude his goodwill message, and then we will have the rounding up. The next goodwill message is from the Right Honorable Dimeji Bankole, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives. Right Honorable. Okay, the mic works. Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you? Okay, that's right. Well, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. Again, I'll say congratulations to the organizers of this event, and in particular to immediate members of the Shinkafi family and the rest of us all over Nigeria. I will start by going a bit personal. I think it was about 28 years ago today, while I just graduated from Oxford and I applied to join the British military. My parents refused to sign my next of kin form, and I didn't know who to go to. Of course, I went to Marfa and he signed on behalf of my parents. And from there, I served 3 years with the British Armed Forces before coming back to Nigeria. So I'm extremely grateful to him for that beginning of discipline that I think has contributed to some of my successes in life. What I keep hearing from everyone today is local government, community, family, population. And I think what we're really talking about is the complete collapse of local government authority in Nigeria. Whether it's funds coming from the federal government, which is about 18 to 20% of the budget, or the fact that the traditional rulers and community leaders have been exempted from negotiations of governance. Of course, this story of banditry, whether it's from Boko Haram to kidnapping, did not happen overnight. Simple theory of Malthus tells us that population explosions would affect productivity and therefore unemployment. And that is the story of Nigeria. Unfortunately, the northern part is getting the hard end of the stick. I just pray that, as someone has said, there's nothing new here. There's nothing new about the information we're hearing today. I pray God Almighty will give us the strength and will to begin to tackle that story, that narrative of local governance as it affects primary health, primary education, and community leaders. Again, I say congratulations to everyone for putting this together and hope we can meet sometime next year to continue this. Thank you very much.
All right, Honorable Speaker, we thank you very much. We didn't know that you are in the British Army until you suddenly revealed it in this security summit. So we thank you very much. We didn't know we have a British soldier perspective. The next and last goodwill message, we are talking about a multifaceted approach to the security problems that we have. So it's a very important message that we are going to receive from the Magajin Garin Sokoto, Alhaji Hassan Malaha. Sir, please. Maybe use this microphone.
Am I on?
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Mine is an experience I've had and wanted to say here, but I think it's been overtaken by events, but at least for just saying it, for hearing's sake, it's good I say it. Marafa emphasized on intelligence gathering at all times. Every time, maybe because he was not in the forefront with guns, his profession was intelligence gathering. I was accompanying him from Kaduna to come to Abuja. So halfway, I left something behind. So I sent my car was behind us. I was sitting in the car with him. So I sent my driver to go back, pick something and come back. As we were driving, we had a puncture. We stopped. We were changing the wheel. The drivers were changing the wheel and I was standing by the side with him. So he said, Maga, those Fulanese are armed robbers. I said, armed robbers, he said, they're armed robbers. I said, did you see any gun? He said, no. I said, how do you know? Tell me. He said, they came and passed with their well-dressed, ironed cloth. The Fulani man, his clothes will be so scattered, so tattered. But this one's, look at their trousers. Well-ironed cloth, and really they just came to operate and go. We quickly changed the tire and we left. When my driver came behind us, we got to Abuja, the driver didn't come and my boy in the other car. After a while, they said, 30 minutes we left that place, an armed robbery attack took place. 30 minutes. So he even noticed the way they were dressed, and that was why he knew they were armed robbers. And there was this time I was sitting down with him in his house in Abuja. They came and said, some people in his house, the security man and somebody, broke into his house, broke into the store, and packed so many things. He started laughing. I said, Marafa, they broke. He said, Magaji, you need to study human beings. It's study. Once you keep something, you don't check on it. And somebody is looking after it for you. He will believe you have been carried away, you're so busy that you won't even remember. So this is only human psychology. All he did was, okay, let them go and change the locks again. But he started laughing. He said, it's human psychology. Once you keep these things. So his was really intelligence. But I think we have been overtaken by intelligence because what Governor Yari just said now has overtaken all the things we are going to say, because he said he got intelligence, he came and told them, nothing happened. A friend of mine works in the military in Katsina. So a few days ago, I phoned him. I said, look, what are you doing there? Pack your loads and come back. If they've been killing people, we can't stop it. He said, sir, we have every information at our disposal. We passed it over. But honestly, nothing was done. It's either the aircraft has been taken to Bauchi, or the pilots are not trained for that aircraft. The GOC in Bauchi had to even go there and do it himself. But the intelligence is there. So, what I just wanted to say, it's been overtaken by events, because the intelligence, we're not liking the intelligence gathering, it's there. Everybody knows, but it's the solution that has become a big problem. Thank you very much. And I congratulate the organizers of this summit. And I pray to Almighty God to forgive Marafa, put him in Al-Jannatul Firdausi, and may Almighty spare our lives to be here next year physically and hear experiences of more people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sokoto. It's a very important but depressing point that we may have the right intelligence, but then we may not be able to act on it. If this is the only thing said in this summit, it will be a very important message to pass to the authorities, especially at the federal level. Now, I have been informed by the organizers, that was the last of the goodwill messages, but I have just been informed that His Excellency Bello Mohammed Matawalle, the governor of Zamfara State, who was supposed to be our first panelist, but we could not establish the connection, that is now available. So if the connection has been made, I would like to repeat my earlier question. Your Excellency, Zamfara State was the ground zero of banditry problem in the last 10 years. We had a lot from your predecessor, Abdul Aziz Yari Abubakar. Can we also hear now your perspective on the problem of insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping in Nigeria, of which your state is unfortunately at the center?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I would like to apologize for my late joining of this program. As I was said,
Your Excellency, if you could
I did not get any, but the problem is, pardon?
Please turn off the video, then the reception will be better.
Stand up. Okay.
Yes.
No.
It should be better now, I hope.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, because I think it's the network where I am.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Your Excellency, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
We can hear you, Your Excellency.
Hello?
Oh, the reception is poor.
Okay, as I'm saying that the issue of insecurity is not just meant for one section of the people.
Still poor.
Can you hear me?
Now we had you, yes.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Hello?
If you can hear us, please go ahead.
Hello?
Oh, the connection is poor, but we can hear you. We can hear you speaking.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear.
Hello?
Oh, can hear us. Cannot hear us.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear now.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. This is the rainy season. It affects connections exactly. It's raining all over the place. We cannot hear the governor of Zamfara State.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think the network is very bad over here. But as I have been saying, the issue of insecurity is not our show. Collective effort that each and every one of us has to do. And in the case of Zamfara State, I have been taking so many measures in order to curtail the issue of this insecurity, which I started. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you very well.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. You know, I have been taking so many measures when I emerged as a governor. First, what I did is to invite all the stakeholders, to discuss the main issue, because you cannot just go to an issue that you don't know and you don't understand. So after all consultation, we finally adopted the decision of a reconciliation and dialoguing with this bandit, which yielded a lot of results. But you know, these people sometimes, some of them are not sincere. So no matter what we discuss with them, sometimes they will come back to the normal activity. So Alhamdulillah, with all what we achieve now, some of them has accepted the dialogue and we are still onto it. But you know, we cannot just stop there. We have to use the two means. That is, we have to stick and carrot. And as we are all aware, now a lot of operation is going on in Zamfara State. While those that accepted our reconciliation, we are still using them because they have to go for front because of the threat. So it's not something that people will say that is continuous. We have to continue dialoguing with them, and operation has to be continued. But what I'm all saying, we particularly in the North, we have a lot of problems, which we have to appreciate that we have problems. How can we appreciate we have problems? We have to come back together. We have to bring our people together.
We were hearing very well, and then suddenly there is interruption. Are we likely to improve it?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we are still listening. Yes. If you can hear us.
Hello? Okay, it's the good thing. The system just be rebooting. The system just be rebooting. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you actually.
Hello?
It's a bit poor, but we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. What I'm saying in essence here is that we have to bring everybody together, and we have to love ourselves. We have to remove all differences between ourselves, because the northern Nigeria is the footstep of our forefathers. Because a lot of haters is going on everywhere, and it is just a major problem if you go deeper on more about what is happening in our people. So I think I suggested to Mr. President, that the northern Nigeria, we have to, in fact, we just met with the governor of Kebbi State and Sokoto State yesterday in Sokoto State, which we discussed intensively about our region, which I think with President, Mr. President, we must have the northern side, the issue of just part of the Northwest is all over the northern Nigeria. And this issue is becoming a worrisome each and every day. So to me, we have to do this summit, so everybody should come and say what he knows. And we have to find a lasting solution for the issues that we have at hand. It's the only option for this of insecurity in the northern Nigeria. So by the time we have done that, we come back together, we love ourselves, and we remove all differences. So I think by doing so, I believe we will have a solution to our problem that we have at hand. But in what is going on between Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Katsina, this is long. But you see, now much improvement is, we are getting much improvement because we are into dialoguing both the Sokoto, Katsina has, but is stopping sometime halfway. This is something that has to be continued. You can't just start and stop. You have to follow them. You have to make sure that there is no deceit. You have to be sincere on all the issues. So, because if you say just, okay, now I start a conciliation with this, but after a few days, then you go and start killing them, or maybe you can use other answer, okay, fashioning them or collecting their cows, you will be in trouble. So you have to be very, very sincere on the dealings with these people because they are very intelligent. They are very, very intelligent, and these people, they know everyone. We don't know them, but they know where to get you. They know where to get your family. They know where to get all of your friends and whoever and all the family. So we have to be careful and we have to be sincere. With the sincerity of what we have shown them, that's why we achieve some, achievement. But if you are not sincere, no matter what you see, most of the market before were closed. But now with the dialogue, we are being able to open most of the market and activities is going on in the state. And alhamdulillah, we are still on to it. And even as at yesterday, we have received a lot of catches of some weapons that were recovered, and they just returned voluntarily without saying anything to them. And this is, and because if we believe that these people are different, and they have their own parents, they are strong-headed. We don't have option for them is to call for unity. That's part. We have to call this because it's very, very important. We should forget about our party affiliations. We shall come up together and make sure that whatever we are doing it with sincerity. And I think if we can adopt this, we can be able to achieve what we want, because it's an issue that everybody is concerned about it. And lucky for us in the northern Nigeria, people have been coming in from other part of the country, like from Niger, from Chad. They are all over in the northern Nigeria. And what do you call Mali and Burkina Faso. If you go to Sokoto, the people that are operating in Sokoto, some of them are from Mali, some of them are from Burkina Faso. If you come to Zamfara, most of those people are from Niger Republic, and some of them from Mali. We all have them. And just of recent, there is some arrests going on, which about 4 or 5 of them were arrested. They are all from Mali, and they are all in Zamfara state. So you see, it's not issue that we just come and sit down and be saying that we are waiting for government to fight it. No, because government, has so many places to go and make some operations. So we, as state governors, we have to stand up and do something that will make sure we protect our people. So we have to use enemies in order to allow our people to be in peace. So that's what we are doing in the state.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Governor of Zamfara State, Bello Mohammed Mutawalli. You are the man in the center of the banditry problem now, and we pray for continuous success. And your message is a very important one, that all hands must be on deck, that although there could be insincerity on the parts of some of the bandits, your colleague, the governor of Katsina State, said as much a few weeks ago, but that does not mean we should discontinue the effort. We thank you very much. If the connection is restored with Dr. Rabiu Konkoso, he will have 2 minutes to conclude his goodwill message.
Thank you very much, the moderator, Madam Mahmoud Jiga. I just wanted to touch on the other aspect of security, which most people are normally ignoring. And that is the aspect of the leadership itself, especially the political leadership. Unless leaders at all levels decide to connect with the people, ensure that people are being empowered, especially in the area of economy, education, food security, health, infrastructure, gainful employment, and so on and so forth.
Unfortunately, we have the same technical problem, although we had part of what Dr. Konkoso said, but we are losing the connection again. Okay, I'm afraid we have to move on, although according to the program, we are supposed to have questions, but you see, we are already 10 minutes behind.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now briefly, sir. I think we have lost that connection. So the best thing to do is to have the two final items on our agenda, the vote of thanks by Her Excellency Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu. After that, we'll have the closing prayer by Yakubu Meikyo, SAN. So, Your Excellency, Madam, if we can have the vote of thanks now. Please, let's have the connection to Her Excellency.
We're not doing questions. We're not doing questions.
Well, in view of the time, exactly, because we are running behind schedule and their excellencies have been sitting in their offices, some here, some in Sokoto and Cape. So
who have the opportunity of meeting their excellencies and they have questions for them. Just 3 questions.
Yes, sir. Should have 1 or 2.
Okay,
I was handed in some questions. One of the problems was that the questions were directed at Governor Bello Mutawale, and he did not do his presentation. That's why I thought there was no point. But let me.
For all the
Second one.
question for His Excellency.
Okay, there is a question from Yusuf Anka from Zamfara State, who has said he followed the situation right from the days of Buhari and Daji. And he has commended the recent efforts in Zamfara, which has reduced criminality. But he is asking His Excellency Governor Bello Mutawale whether he is concerned about human rights abuses in the course of fighting the banditry, because some young Fulani people no longer trust the authorities or even the Hausa communities. I don't know whether the governor is still connected.
Yes, I'm connected. And yeah, of course, we have to follow the human rights regulations. And you see, in fighting, you must expect collateral damages. You know it. So, and we have to leave no stone unturned. And as I assure the people of the state, we are going to use 2 things. We use stick and carrot. So sometimes, like, never underrate some. And my concern is, how are we going to bring a total peace in the state? So if they have committed any crime, we just go and ambush Fulani and start killing them. But now I put a stop to that, that nobody should go and attack anyone. But they have the right to protect their communities. But they shouldn't go out of their community to go and attack anyone. If we found anyone doing so, we are going to arrest him and deal with him squarely. So what we are doing is that we should give everybody his right. And we tell the Fulani that they shouldn't touch anyone or kill any person. If they do so, wherever they are, we are going to track them down and pin them down. And this is my stand, and I'm still on it.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The next question that was sent by Tolu is directed at Echi, the governor of Sokoto State. The Right Honorable Amin Waziri Tambuwal. The question is the people who are displaced in the two local governments in northern Sokoto State and had to flee their villages, will they be able to return home anytime soon?
Well, thank you very much, Malam Mahmoud. The fact of the matter is that a number of them have returned home. They are returning home because the operations being carried out by the military is yielding some very positive results. Normalcy is returning in the area, and quite a number of them are not only back at home, but are also on their farmlands planting crops for the season. So it's work in progress, and we are doing our best to ensure that all of them return back home, inshallah, safely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The final small question we have to the representative of the DG of the DSS. Someone is asking, is it true that there is evidence that Boko Haram and the ISWAP have linked up with the bandits in the Northwest?
Yes, I think there is evidence of that because one of the things that linking them together, the arms dealers supply both angles, and it affords them an opportunity because that is why we are looking at it that the security agencies are strategizing and synergizing the bandits, the kidnappers, the arms dealers, and the fringe of terrorists, particularly Ansar coming, are also coming together. That is why we need to do more.
Yeah.
As we are pushing it, as we are pushing from Zamfara, they are entering in Niger. Niger is pushing them, they are going to free places. So that is why, as the Northwest is doing their own, Northeast is doing their own, the North Central will also do. And I'm sure the Southwest are also trying to block from the axis of Kogi. So these are some of the areas why it's even though we are doing it regionally, it's good locally, regionally, we still have to make it to be more national in approach, particularly the governors, and I thank God that they have the forum which they meet. They can review that with locality and come together at the national level. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's distressing news that there is now a concerted action between the bandits and the insurgents. It is terrible, and it's only a wake-up call for all of us to do more. Thank you very much, the panelists, and also all the eminent persons who delivered the goodwill messages. Your Excellency Hajia Zainab Shenkafi Bagudu, it is now time for the vote of thanks.
I'd like to start by giving thanks to Almighty Allah for allowing us to finally be able to have this meeting, albeit in a virtual manner. But as His Excellency has said, I'm sure that this is something that our late father would have agreed to. So I greet everybody. I thank everybody, starting with Your Excellencies, my husband, all the governors of Zamfara and Sokoto, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Amin Waziri Tambol, my own governor, His Excellency, Governor Bello Matawale, and all the other panelists that have been very kind to give us their time this morning. The representative of the Director General of the DSS, as well as, of course, our own Bishop, Reverend Matthew Kuka. We had to bring him out from his home where he was with his, where he was mourning his mother as well. We pray that everybody that has been with us today has been able to gain a lot from the meeting. We have had people from outside the country, Her Excellency, the High Commissioner of the UK in Nigeria, and I see a lot of other people as part of the participants that not everybody may be aware of. I thank them very deeply for the honor that they have shown to our late father today. There has been a lot of activity behind the scenes. Everybody that has put this together from conception, the idea was first born 4 years ago when we lost him, but for various reasons, we have been unable to put it together physically until now. Halifa actually was the one that said we can do it and we will do it. And Alhamdulillah, we have been able to do it as a virtual meeting. I hope that by proving that we can do it, I will jump to the end of my thanks and call upon my husbands, my brothers, the 3 governors of the area where our father came from, as well as the agency where he belongs to, the directors of the security agencies, to find a way of owning this meeting and ensure that we keep his legacy alive. We don't have to just do it in his legacy. It is something that is very vital and key to our nation. And by doing this, we're doing all ourselves a favor. We have heard so many issues that has come up today and the need for having this kind of seminar. Yes, a lot of them have been around. There are various seminars that are held in security, but I'm sure that you all agree with me that by having one that immortalizes the name of Marafan Sokoto, we will be doing ourselves all a favor. I do not by any means mean to leave anybody out. I'm sorry if I mean no disrespect, but the list and everybody that has been here today has been very overwhelming. Magajingari, His Excellency Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, the former governor of Kano State, General Dambazo, my father's Malam Buba Galadima, Prince Ajibola, the former, I believe the Right Honorable Dimeji represents my father as well, and so many other people. I thank you all. I pray that Allah in His infinite mercy will bless you, will bless the souls of our departed fathers. In particular, we also need to pray for our father, Malam Samaila Isa, who we lost just 2 days ago, and we almost postponed this seminar because of that. But in a spirit that is cognizant with both of them, I can just imagine Malam Samaila Isa shouting and telling me, Saboda me, why will you postpone it? Just go ahead and have it. And so there was some arguments within the family, but we decided to just go ahead. In fact, I put my foot down and said, we must go ahead because I know the kind of people that they both were, and they would not have wanted us to stop this for any reason. So we continue to pray for their souls, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them al-Jannah Firdaus, as well as all our dear departed parents. I thank you all for your support. Your Excellency, Senator Abakar Atiku Bagudu, I must single you out for the singular support that you have given to us, to the family, to each and every one of us in various ways since we lost our father. So thank you very much, and may Allah gather us here again together next time. Our dear host, Malam Mahmoud Jega, even if we want to find a way of not celebrating or Marafa's life, he never lets us forget. Every year, he writes a tribute to Marafa's memory. Finally, to Malam Buba Galadima, our father, he talked about a book. We will have a book very soon. Marafa might not have shared it with you, but he was working on something together with Professor, what's his name? Doctor, remind me. The former DG of the NIA.
Bukar Bukarambi.
Bukarambi, yes, Professor Bukarambi. There is something in the pipeline, and inshallah, we'll be able to bring that out soon. We have a compilation, a very moving piece that they were working on together. And by God's grace, we'll be able to share that and hope that everybody will be able to gain from it. So thank you very much. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you. For those of you that are at home, have a nice day. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Doctor. Your connection was the best of all, because she's in London. Now we go to the very last item in our program, which is the closing prayer. The eminent barrister Okume Kyo, SAN, will give us the vote of thanks. Sorry, the closing prayer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my big brother. But I will also take the liberty of that slip that you made to just say one or two things before I say the closing prayer. And that is because during the lifetime of our father, the Marafan Sokoto, I was privileged to be very, very close with him. He's someone that I know ate security, breathed security, talked security, and walked security. And I will say this from two examples of an incident that happened between himself and I. Number one was that I was sitting together with him and he was talking about a construction somewhere. And they suggested they were going to put a certain color of the roof of that construction. And he said, no, you won't do that. The reason is that if you put a color that makes your own property outstanding, then it means you are allowing yourself to be easily targeted. So look at the color of your neighborhood and ensure that the color of your roof also blends with the color of all other roofs in that neighborhood. Secondly, I had an assignment that I had to do for him, and he had to recall some information that I needed for the purpose of that assignment. Marafan Sokoto asked me to give him some time. He called back his diaries, and you the details that he recorded in his diary, all his movements from one to the other, relative to that particular assignment I was to carry out for him. He noted where he was at every particular time, the train he got on, and every detail. And so the former speaker in Sokoto talk about that level of perceptibility that our father enjoyed during his lifetime. See, that is an asset that this country has. The challenge that we have in this country is that we do not have data, we do not have information, we also do not pay attention to the things around. That is why we are missing it most of the time, unlike taking precautions to make sure that, like the governor of Kebbi State said, you have to do a lot to make sure that these situations do not happen so that you can enjoy the peace. We only wait until those situations happen. So on this note, I want to thank each and every one of you again for the honor you have done to our late father. And I pray, this is now my closing prayer, and I pray that God Almighty would honor you in the same manner that you have honored our late father in committing your time and your resources in participating in this summit. I also use the presence of the governors of Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara in this summit to pray and ask God for wisdom for all our leaders in this country, beginning from the president, other governors in this country, and other leaders at all levels in this country, for God to grant them wisdom and courage and strategy to fight these insurgencies, these activities that we are faced with in every part of this country successfully. And on this note, I thank you and I appreciate you, and may God Almighty continue to bless and keep us until we reconvene next year by the special grace of God to go on with this laudable objective that the family of our late father has put together. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of the program. Yes. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rakere. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rakere.
Thank you, Robert Taylor. We're very grateful.
Thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar. We are going to make sure that the videos will be made available on our social media handles. So please make sure you follow at Umaru Shinkafi Legacy Foundation on Instagram, as well as on